Welcome to NVL Travel Documentary. Think you know Los Angeles? Think again.
No, you're like you think Afghanistan.
Beyond the Hollywood sign and sun-soaked beaches, a silent crisis is unraveling. Streets once filled with dreams are now lined with tents. From Skid Row to Beverly Hills, homelessness, crime, and addiction are rewriting LA's story. This isn't just about housing, it's about survival. About college grads living in cars, families sleeping under bridges, and a city once known for opportunity, now struggling to hold itself together. Welcome to NVL Travel Documentaries, where we go beyond the tourist trail to uncover real, raw facts about countries. This is the side of LA you won't find in typical country documentaries. Are you ready to see what's really happening behind the American dream?
Early.
Number 1. The growing homelessness crisis in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is facing a homelessness crisis like never before. As of the year 2025, nearly 195,000 people in the city are living without a permanent home. That's not just a big number. It's a jump of 35% in just the past 12 months, and if we zoom out a bit, it's up 59% compared to the year 2013. But it's not just the rise in numbers that's alarming, it's how people are living. Close to 60% of those experiencing homelessness have no access to any kind of stable shelter. That means tens of thousands are sleeping rough every night. Compared to 5 years ago, that number has gone up by 27%. And here's what's changed. It's not just Skid Row anymore. Homelessness has spread far beyond that downtown area. Today, you can find tents, makeshift shelters, and people sleeping out in the open in every part of the city. From Hollywood to South Central, from Venice to the Valley, there's no district untouched. Sidewalks that once buzzed with tourists are now lined with tents. Public parks have turned into encampments. And beneath the overpasses, whole communities are trying to survive. Los Angeles used to be known for its sunshine, its movie stars, and its boundless opportunity. But now, that picture-perfect image is cracking. The energy feels different, like a dream, more like a city trying to hold itself together. This isn't just a housing issue anymore. It's everywhere, it's visible, and it's growing. Number 2. The rise of educated and formerly employed homeless. When people think of homelessness, the first image that usually comes to mind is someone who's unemployed or struggling with addiction. But in 2025, that image is way off the mark. Today, more and more of the unhoused in Los Angeles are former professionals or people who once had stable jobs, nice homes, and college degrees. We're talking about former business owners, engineers, teachers, and even those with advanced degrees like masters or doctorates. According to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, over 20% of people experiencing homelessness now report having a college degree or higher. That's 1 in every 5. And here's where it gets real. Meet Mona. She's not a fictional story, she's a real person who had it all together. Mona was a data scientist with a master's degree, working in a respected firm, living comfortably in Ventura County. But everything changed when the massive Thomas wildfire swept through in late 2017. She lost her home. Shortly after, she lost her job. At first, she thought it would be temporary, but without a place to stay, she couldn't shower. Without that, she couldn't go to job interviews. Without interviews, she couldn't land a job. The cycle closed in on her. One thing led to another, and Mona found herself trapped in homelessness, not because she lacked skills, not because she made bad choices, but because life hit hard and there was no safety net to catch her. Stories like Mona's are becoming more common, and that forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about homelessness. It's not just them anymore, it's any of us, given the right storm of circumstances. So now, I want to hear from you. If you believe homelessness can happen to anyone, comment the number 1. But if you still think it only affects people who are lazy or irresponsible, comment the number 0. Let's talk about this, because understanding is the first step toward change. Number 3, skyrocketing rent and the cost of living in LA. Los Angeles is in the midst of a severe housing crisis, with home prices and rental rates soaring to unprecedented levels. As of February 2025, the median home value in Los Angeles is approximately $973,000, reflecting a modest increase of 1.6% over the past year. This figure is significantly higher than the national median home price, which stands at around $396,900. The rental market is equally challenging. As of January 2025, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles is approximately $2,161 per month, while a two-bedroom apartment averages around $2,992 per month. These high costs make it increasingly difficult for many residents to afford housing. Complicating matters further, recent wildfires have destroyed over 16,000 homes, displacing tens of thousands of residents and tightening the already limited housing supply. This increased demand has led to reports of rent gouging, with some landlords raising rents beyond legal limits, exacerbating the affordability crisis. In response, California's anti-gouging laws, which limit rent increases to no more than 10% during emergencies, are being enforced. However, enforcement is challenging, and many tenants continue to face unaffordable rent hikes. The combined effect of soaring home prices, escalating rents, and unethical practices by some landlords is pushing many residents to the brink of homelessness. The situation calls for immediate and comprehensive measures to address the housing affordability crisis in Los Angeles. Number 4, wildfires, floods, and climate-driven displacement. It's not just the economy or rent prices anymore. Natural disasters, especially wildfires and floods, are making the housing crisis in Los Angeles even worse. Let's start with wildfires. By early 2025, over 28,000 structures across California had been destroyed by massive fires, including the Palisades and Eaton blazes. These fires didn't just burn through forests, they burned through entire neighborhoods. More than 270,000 people lost their homes, many with nowhere to go. For families living paycheck to paycheck, rebuilding isn't even an option. That's how thousands end up homeless almost overnight. And the damage isn't just physical, it's financial too. Total losses from wildfires in California now range between $37 billion and $75 billion. That kind of damage drives up insurance premiums, pushes some insurers to pull out entirely, and makes it nearly impossible for everyday folks to protect or rebuild their homes. So, even if a house survives the flames, the system around it might collapse anyway. But that's only half the story. Flooding is now a rising threat, literally. Experts predict that by the end of 2025, flood risks in parts of Southern California may surpass the danger posed by wildfires. Increased rainfall and aging drainage systems mean more homes are vulnerable to water damage. And just like with fires, floods don't just take property, they drive up housing prices. Every time a disaster hits, the housing supply shrinks. Demand rises, prices jump, and people with lower incomes get squeezed out of the market. It's a repeating pattern. Natural disaster strikes, homes are lost, building gets harder, and the most vulnerable are left behind. These environmental pressures are no longer rare emergencies, they're becoming a yearly reality, and for many Angelenos, they're the final push into homelessness. Number 5. The collapse of California's home insurance system. In recent years, California has faced a growing crisis in the homeowners insurance market, particularly in areas prone to wildfires. Several major insurance companies, including State Farm and Allstate, have ceased issuing new homeowners policies in the state, citing increased risks from wildfires and rising construction costs. This trend has left many homeowners struggling to find affordable coverage. The impact of these changes is significant. Between 2020 and 2022, insurance companies declined to renew approximately 2.8 million homeowner policies in California. This has forced many residents to seek coverage through the state's FAIR plan, which serves as an insurer of last resort, but often comes with higher premiums and limited coverage. The reduction in available insurance options has also led to increased premiums for those who can still obtain coverage. Homeowners in high-risk areas are facing soaring insurance costs, adding financial strain to those already dealing with the threat of natural disasters. In response to this crisis, state officials have implemented measures such as a mandatory one-year moratorium on insurance non-renewals for residents in wildfire-affected areas. However, these are temporary solutions, and the underlying issues persist. The combination of insurance companies withdrawing from the market, increased non-renewals, and rising premiums has created a challenging environment for California homeowners, particularly in regions susceptible to wildfires. Addressing this crisis requires comprehensive strategies that balance the financial viability of insurance providers with the need to protect homeowners in high-risk areas. Number 6. Deepening economic inequality across Los Angeles. Let's talk about something at the heart of the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles: economic inequality. Right now, the city is home to around 10 million people, and here's the kicker. More than 16 Faisal Fantram of them are living below the poverty line. That's over one Faisal Tri-U resident struggling to cover the basics: food, rent, healthcare. And even for those who do have jobs, things aren't getting any easier. Wages for low-income workers have barely moved, while the cost of living keeps climbing. In 20 High Muay Lam, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in LA is over High Hin Fin Mo Tram Dola Mot. Now pair that with a minimum wage job that pays roughly Muay Sao Dola Mot Joe, and you can see the math just doesn't add up. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, but your paycheck is stuck in place. Groceries, gas, utilities, everything is more expensive, but wages, they're just inching along. And when we talk about housing, it's a whole different level of crisis. The gap between what people earn and what it costs to live has gotten so wide, it's basically unreachable for many. Affordable housing is either completely out of stock or in such high demand that people are stuck on wait lists for years. And for the working poor, folks who are trying their best every single day, that means making impossible choices: pay rent or buy food, fix a car or keep the lights on. What's worse is that these pressures are felt the most by people doing essential jobs: cleaners, home health aides, warehouse workers. The ones who kept the city running during the hardest times now can't afford to live in it. So, here's a question for you. If you believe the system is broken and needs to better support low-wage workers, comment the number 3. But if you think people just need to work harder and stop complaining, comment the number 4. Let's get real. Let's get honest. Number 7. Homeless children and undocumented immigrant struggles. Let's talk about two groups deeply affected by homelessness in Los Angeles: children and undocumented immigrants. Children. On any given night, approximately 3,277 young people in Los Angeles County experience homelessness. This instability profoundly impacts their mental health, academic performance, and overall well-being. Without a stable home, children face challenges in accessing consistent education and healthcare, hindering their development and future opportunities. Undocumented immigrants. Los Angeles County is home to a significant number of undocumented immigrants, with estimates suggesting that over 1 in 3 Angelenos are immigrants and 8% are undocumented. These individuals often encounter substantial barriers in accessing housing, employment, and social services due to their legal status. This exclusion increases their vulnerability to homelessness, as they may be unable to secure stable jobs or qualify for housing assistance programs. Interconnected challenges. The challenges faced by homeless children and undocumented immigrants are interconnected. Children in undocumented families are at a higher risk of experiencing homelessness due to economic instability and limited access to support services. This cyclical issue perpetuates disadvantages, making it difficult for these children to break free from poverty and insecurity. Community and policy implications. Addressing homelessness among these vulnerable populations requires comprehensive policies that consider their unique circumstances. For children, this includes ensuring access to quality education and mental health services, even in unstable housing situations. For undocumented immigrants, policies that provide pathways to legal status and access to essential services can mitigate the factors leading to homelessness. Number 8. Rising crime and social fragmentation in the city. Los Angeles is standing at a crossroads. On one side, you've got million-dollar mansions, luxury cars, and high-end boutiques. On the other, just blocks away, thousands of people are sleeping in tents, in their cars, or directly on the sidewalk. And in between, a widening economic gap that's reshaping the city, and not in a good way. As of early 2025, Los Angeles has a population of roughly 10 million. Yet, more than 16% of residents live below the poverty line. That's over 1.6 million people struggling to survive in a city where the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is more than $2,100 a month. With housing costs skyrocketing and wages staying mostly flat, more people are slipping through the cracks. And as homelessness rises, or becomes more visible, the city is also seeing a sharp increase in crime. In 2022, the crime rate hit 60 crimes per 1,000 residents, compared to 54 just a few years earlier. Experts are now pointing to the growing number of unhoused individuals and the lack of resources as a major factor. It's not that unhoused people are inherently dangerous, it's that people forced to live in survival mode every day are more vulnerable to both becoming victims of crime and, at times, getting caught in desperate acts. But the deeper problem isn't just about crime, it's about division. The income gap in California is now one of the largest in the country. In 2024, households at the top of the scale earned over $3 trillion a year, while those at the bottom brought in less than $1 That's a 10-to-1 income ratio. And in Los Angeles, you can feel it. In some neighborhoods, you'll see private security patrols, designer stores, and sleek high-rises. Just a few miles away, entire blocks are lined with tents. Families with kids, veterans, the elderly people who once had homes, jobs, and plans for the future are now living outside, invisible to the system. This kind of divide doesn't just fracture a city, it changes its soul. It creates resentment, fear, and a lack of trust. People retreat behind gates and walls, while others are pushed further to the margins, and slowly, a city begins to lose its sense of community. That's why people are starting to ask, is Los Angeles becoming a ghost city, a place where only the rich live in isolated bubbles, while the poor are left to wander in a kind of modern-day exile? Number 9. Community movements fighting back against injustice. In the middle of all the chaos, rising homelessness, runaway rent prices, and growing inequality, there's still a heartbeat of hope pulsing through the city of Los Angeles. And it's not coming from the top, it's coming from the ground up, from everyday people, organizers, and community groups who refuse to give up on the idea of a fairer city. Across Los Angeles, social organizations, tenant unions, legal aid lawyers, and housing activists are stepping up and saying, enough is enough. They're calling out landlords who are taking advantage of a desperate housing market, those demanding 5 or 6 months of rent in advance. In response, Groups like the Coalition for Economic Survival and the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles are not just offering support, they're fighting back with legal action, community education, and direct advocacy. But this movement is about more than just stopping the bad actors. It's about pushing for real structural change. That's why these same groups are demanding serious enforcement of rent control laws. You see, while California passed Assembly Bill 1482 to cap rent increases, in too many neighborhoods, landlords continue to raise rents illegally, banking on the fact that tenants don't know their rights or are too afraid to fight. That's why community legal teams are showing up in courtrooms, neighborhood meetings, and even door-to-door, making sure people understand the power they do have. And the energy doesn't stop there. There's a growing movement for more affordable housing, real affordable housing, not just luxury condos with a couple of low crummy units thrown in to meet the quota. Nonprofits like Abundant Housing LA, LA Forward, and LA Fairer Housing are lobbying the city to build smarter, denser, and fairer. They're pushing for zoning reform, public land use for housing, and greater investment in supportive housing for people experiencing homelessness. In 2024 alone, Los Angeles approved nearly 11,000 new units of affordable housing, up from just over 8,000 the year before. That progress didn't come out of nowhere. It came from community pressure, organized voices, and people refusing to accept that homelessness is just how it is. This is what hope looks like. It's not flashy, it's not fast, but it's growing, block by block, voice by voice. Number 10. A defining moment for the future of Los Angeles. Right now, Los Angeles is standing at a turning point, a moment that could shape the future of the entire city for generations to come. We're not talking about small adjustments or slow reforms. We're talking about a make-or-break moment. The city is being pulled in two directions. On one side, there's the possibility of real, lasting change. We have community groups organizing, new policies being proposed, and a growing awareness that the status quo just doesn't work anymore. People are waking up. They're demanding affordable housing, stronger tenant protections, better mental health services, and more accountability from those in power. If that energy keeps building, and if city leaders choose to act boldly, Los Angeles can turn the corner. It can become a city that actually reflects the promise of the American dream, a place where hard work leads to stability, not survival on the edge. But on the other side, there's the risk of letting it all fall apart. Because let's be honest, without urgent, coordinated action, the gap between rich and poor will keep growing. More people will be pushed out of their homes, more tents will line the sidewalks, and that golden image of LA as a city of sunshine, creativity, and opportunity, it'll fade into something darker. A city of walls and shadows, where the wealthy live in private bubbles and everyone else is just trying to make it through the day. This is the crossroads we're at, and the choice isn't just up to politicians or developers, it's up to all of us. Los Angeles is a city of contrasts, of dreams and despair, sunshine and struggle. Behind the glamorous skyline and coastal beauty lies a deeper truth, a city grappling with homelessness, economic inequality, and the rising impact of climate change. But within this crisis, there's also resilience. From grassroots organizers to everyday residents, people are coming together to fight for something better, a city where everyone has a chance to live with dignity. If this story moved you or made you see Los Angeles in a new light, consider giving this video a like, subscribing to NVL Travel Documentary, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Because sometimes, the most important part of any journey is understanding the reality behind a postcard view.